a while, but it was worth the wait. Hi, it's Fabs and welcome to A Fab Kitchen. I am back with another cookbook review, and today I'll be reviewing Eat What You Watch by Andrew Raya, aka Binging with Babish. So I have tried and tested some of these recipes, and if you haven't seen them already, then click the playlist above. This cookbook was written by Andrew Raya, but many avid YouTube watchers know him better as Binging with Babish, and he has one of the most popular cooking channels on YouTube at the moment with 8.81 million subscribers as I film this, and his subscribers are ever growing. Andrew Raya created his YouTube channel in 2006 under the name Binging with Babish, but recently changed the name to Babish Culinary Universe. So he is a self-taught chef, and he learnt to cook both on screen and off screen, and he's best known for his series where he recreates dishes from popular TV shows and movies. Having thoroughly mastered the art of cooking, he also teaches us normals how to cook basics with his series Basics with Babish. But he doesn't stop there. He also has another series called Being with Babish, which features him giving back to the viewers, especially those in need. So Andrew Raya is so great. He's got a great personality and he's so humorous, and if you don't watch him already, you are definitely missing out. Eat What You Watch is full of recipes from loads of famous movies, including Breakfast at Tiffany's, Amelie, Goodfellas and Harry Potter, and there are so many more. So let's take a look at the book. There is definitely a black theme throughout this book, and I'm assuming it's inspired by camera film. And as we open up the book, we see 2 pages full of stars with the names of films that the dishes in this book are featured in. And the same goes for the last 2 pages. So these look a lot like a Hollywood Walk of Fame. All the pictures are vibrant and entertaining, and they are assembled like the scenes that the dishes feature in the film. And under each picture is the title of the film that it is featured in. And if we move over to the actual recipe and instructions, there is an overview of the scene at the beginning of the recipe, as well as a quoted line or 2 at the bottom to give context. As we move to the contents page, I'm struck with a slight feeling of annoyance, because there is nothing worse than a cookbook without sections. All of the recipes are listed chronologically. I definitely meant alphabetically. Let's just let this one lie, yeah. Making it easy to find, I guess, if you know the exact name of the recipe, which I don't. So I kind of wish that he had listed it in different parts of a meal. So you had starter, main, dessert, drinks, etc. And if he had thought ahead, this book is great for those who are holding movies themed dinner parties, and having it out into different sections of a meal really would have been great, and I wish he had thought of that. However, there is a section at the end which does rid me slightly of my annoyance, and that is called the conversions tables. So I'm so happy that he understood that the measurements in the US are not the same as they are in Europe. So we prefer grams, y'all prefer cups. But I'm so happy he understood that. So he's got the conversions for those, as well as the names of ingredients. So in America, they like to use the name superfine flour or something like that, or cake flour, and we prefer to use self-raising flour. So that really did help as well. And he slightly, and I emphasize slightly, understood that certain ingredients are not available in other countries. And I will go into more detail about that, but he does give substitutions for some of the ingredients, which is great. Now, although he does state the serving sizes for each recipe, one thing that annoyed me throughout this entire process was the fact that I never knew how long any of the recipes were going to take. I just wish there was a rough guide on how long they were going to take. But starting a recipe intended for lunch and finding out it's going to take over 3 hours and being forced to make it for dinner is a little bit of a pain in the bum. So I really hope he's changed that, he's corrected that for his other cookbooks. This cookbook has 1 vegan recipe and 20 vegetarian recipes. There are 41 recipes in total, making over half of them accessible to vegetarians, but not so great for vegans. There's also 1 drink recipe if you're not plagued by lactose intolerance like I am. I've tried 1 veggie recipe, 1 fish recipe, 1 meat, and 1 dessert recipe, and so I'm going to give you a brief overview of each one, but if you want a more in-depth review and to see me trying these recipes, then head over to the playlist above. We started off with the asparagus with hollandaise, inspired by the film American Beauty. This was super tasty. The hollandaise sauce alone was interesting, but together with the asparagus and poached egg, it was fireworks. One thing though that I will note was that I wish there was a tad more description on how thick the hollandaise sauce should be. I ended up having to watch a video of his just to find out how thick it should be, and it was useful, but I shouldn't necessarily have to watch a video for more clarity. So overall, I gave this a 4.5 stars. Next, we moved on to the shrimp cocktail inspired by the film Beetlejuice. And it was nice, but it wasn't anything special. It was as if I understood it was nice and it was tasty, but I just wasn't impressed. All of the ingredients were easy to find, but there was one tricky step, once again, that I think needed a lot more information, and that was deveining the shrimp. I actually ended up having to watch another video for clarity. But one thing I will note is that if you do make this recipe, pay extra for good quality shrimp, because although my shrimp was cooked in the stock, it was bland as ever. Overall, I gave this a 4.3 stars because it was nice and I couldn't deduct points just because it wasn't for me. But I would say, you know what, I think this dish is still one to try because that sauce is banging. Then we got on to the long-awaited meat dish. So I attempted to make the Hawaiian burger, aka the Big Kahuna burger from the film Pulp Fiction, and let me just say, best burger ever. Honestly, the best burger I've ever tried in my life. I love this burger so much. I was a tad apprehensive at first because you're not supposed to season that meat, but boy, it did not need the seasoning because all of the flavors come together like honestly, it was phenomenal. It was honestly one of my favorite dishes, but overall it did only get 4.5 stars just because I had to substitute so many of the ingredients because they're not available in the UK. Now I saved the best till last. I ended the series making the angel food cake inspired by the film Groundhog Day, and let me just say, oh my goodness, it was by far my favorite recipe of this series. The cake alone wasn't anything special, but with the components, the Moorish whipped cream, the refreshing strawberries, oh my gosh, it was like heaven in my mouth. Seriously, my taste buds were partying like crazy. I did make a mistake whilst making this, and I didn't whip the egg whites for long enough, so they weren't super stiff. But still, my cake came out so lovely and moist and spongy. It was really, really great. And I really recommend, out of all the recipes that I've made, I would say try this recipe because it got a 4.8 stars. But comment below with which recipe you're most inclined to try. Now for the final overview. This book costs £14.99, but you can currently get it for £12 on Amazon, and it is the best cookbook that I have reviewed so far on my channel in terms of taste. Every recipe received over 4 stars and were really flavoursome, some more than others, but the problems that I do have with this cookbook are the fact that it doesn't mention how long any of the recipes are going to take. It often mentions a stand mixer without providing other options for those who don't have one. And finally, a lot of the ingredients are not accessible outside the US and Canada. It was so bad that I actually had to steer clear of some recipes because the majority of the ingredients I could not get in the UK. And so for that reason, I am going to give this cookbook a 4-star. Now, is this cookbook worth it? Most definitely. Is it going to help you cook like a pro, or is it an absolute no? Oh my goodness, it's going to help you cook like a pro. It really was lovely. So once restrictions ease and you're planning a movies themed dinner party, don't forget to grab this book because it really will be worth it. Now, should I try any of his other cookbooks? Comment below if you want to see any more cookbooks by Andrew Raya, aka Binging with Babish. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. But for now, peace. Ha ha. Okay. Huh?
Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Hi kids. Ha ha. I got this. Wow.